Personality and Psychological Profile of Benjamin Netanyahu, with a comparative note on Donald Trump by AZLAN ADNAN. Benjamin Bibi. Netanyahu, born in Tel Aviv on October 21, 1949, is now 75 years old. His surname, Netanyahu, meaning God has given in Hebrew, was not always his family's name. His grandfather, Nathan Milikowski, emigrated from the Russian Empire to Ottoman Palestine in the early 20th century. Like many early Zionist pioneers, the family Hebraized their name from Milikowski to Netanyahu to affirm a new, nationalist Jewish identity rooted in the land of Israel, rather than in the diasporic past. This symbolic act was not merely cosmetic. It reflected a deeper ideological transformation, one that still animates Netanyahu's personal and political worldview. Today, Netanyahu is the longest-serving prime minister in Israeli history, having shaped and in many ways distorted the modern Israeli state through his blend of strategic brilliance, populist appeal, and a psychology steeped in historical grievance and personal ambition. For admirers, he is Israel's indispensable defender. For critics, he is an authoritarian populist willing to sacrifice democratic norms to preserve his power. A formative upbringing, Zionism, trauma, and legacy. Netanyahu's formative years were profoundly shaped by the ideological and intellectual climate of his family. His father, Benjamin Netanyahu, was a noted historian of Jewish persecution and a fierce adherent of revisionist Zionism, a movement founded by Vladimir Jabotinsky that emphasized Jewish strength, territorial maximalism, and deep suspicion of non-Jews. Benzian's seminal work on the Spanish Inquisition portrayed Jewish history as a relentless saga of betrayal and victimhood, lessons he passed on to his sons. These early influences helped form a psychological framework in which weakness was equated with death and compromise with defeat. The tragic death of his older brother, Yonatan Netanyahu, in 1976, during the Israeli commando raid at Entebbe, Uganda, further entrenched Bibi's sense of mission and personal destiny. For Netanyahu, survival is not only a national imperative, it is personal and sacred. Education and intellectual formation. Netanyahu's intellectual pedigree is as elite as his political instincts are sharp. After completing high school in the United States, he enrolled at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, where he earned a Bachelor of Science in Architecture, with a concentration in management. He then pursued a Master of Science in Business Management at the MIT Sloan School of Management. During his time at MIT, he also took graduate-level courses in political science at Harvard University, further sharpening his understanding of global political systems and ideology. This academic background nurtured a technocratic sensibility. Netanyahu prefers data-driven decision-making, policy precision, and long-term strategic thinking over impulsive populism. He is not a charismatic ideologue. He is a calculating tactician. Had a personality and psychological landscape. Harsh strategic mindset and cold realism. Netanyahu is above all a strategic thinker. He approaches governance like a chessboard, always calculating several moves ahead. His foreign policy, especially the normalization of relations with Arab states via the Abraham Accords, reveals his knack for reshaping regional dynamics without conceding core ideological positions. His opposition to the Iran nuclear deal and relentless pursuit of global support for Israeli security reveal a worldview dominated by threat assessment, deterrence, and advantage maximization. Charisma and polarization. While not naturally warm, Netanyahu is a formidable communicator. Fluent in Hebrew and English, he tailors his messaging with precision, speaking differently to domestic, international, and diaspora audiences. His rhetorical style blends gravitas with fear-mongering, portraying himself as a lone protector against encroaching enemies, whether foreign powers, Arab states, leftist elites, or the Israeli judiciary. This us versus them narrative has polarized Israeli society, rallying a loyal base while alienating critics as enemies of the state. Narcissism and Messiah complex. Netanyahu displays classic narcissistic traits, an inflated sense of self-importance, hypersensitivity to criticism, and a belief that he alone is capable of leading Israel. He often equates attacks on his personal integrity, such as his ongoing corruption trials, with attacks on the nation. In his eyes, preserving his leadership is tantamount to preserving national security. This conflation of personal and national destiny is not only narcissistic, It borders on a messiah complex. Control orientation and deep distrust. Netanyahu's leadership is marked by tight control. He rarely delegates critical decisions, marginalizes internal challengers, and frequently reshuffles coalitions to disorient allies and opponents alike. This behavior suggests not just political cunning, but a deep-seated distrust of others. In both his military service and political career, betrayal and fragility were constant threats. Control, therefore, becomes a defense mechanism. Populist technocrat, a paradoxical leadership model. Netanyahu's leadership style is a hybrid of technocratic precision and populist instinct. He governs with the competence of a seasoned bureaucrat and the rhetoric of a street-level campaigner. While his speeches are often rich with populist themes, attacks on leftist elites, foreign-funded NGOs, and the biased media, his actual governance is calculated and disciplined. He is not driven by ideology but by survival and legacy. This duality has allowed him to hold together fragile coalitions, reshape diplomatic alliances, and outmaneuver a long line of rivals. He is not loved so much as feared, and perhaps that suits him just fine. Comparison with Donald Trump. The instinctive disruptor versus. Though Netanyahu and Donald Trump are often grouped together as right-wing populists with authoritarian leanings, they are fundamentally different personalities. Trump is impulsive, performative, and emotionally reactive. He governs through chaos, demands absolute loyalty, and thrives on spectacle. His worldview is transactional and often uninformed, rooted in branding rather than ideology. Netanyahu, by contrast, is methodical, strategic, and profoundly shaped by history. He does not govern by impulse, but by calculation. Where Trump lashes out, Netanyahu absorbs, waits, and strikes when the odds favor him. Trump is a narcissist who plays a strongman. Netanyahu is a narcissist who believes he is one. Trump has little patience for detail, nuance, or continuity. Netanyahu thrives on complexity, relishes policy minutiae, and plays the long game. Trump's populism is chaotic and unsophisticated. Netanyahu's is cloaked in intellectual gravitas and historical justification. Most tellingly, Netanyahu sees himself as a product and protector of Jewish history. For him, leadership is a sacred burden. Trump, by contrast, sees leadership as a stage upon which to perform and dominate. Netanyahu's insecurity is buried beneath layers of control and legacy building. Trump's insecurity is broadcast as rage and grievance. The reluctant autocrat. Benjamin Netanyahu's personality is a study in contradiction. He is both deeply rational and deeply emotional, both visionary and self-interested, both democratic in appearance and autocratic in practice. He has used his formidable intellect, elite education, and personal charisma not only to lead Israel through turbulent times, but also to weaken its institutions, divide its society, and reshape its democracy into a vessel for personal survival. His story is not yet over, but whether he is ultimately remembered as Israel's Churchill or its Erdogan may depend less on what he does next, and more on whether Israelis choose to remain spellbound by the myth of the indispensable man. A heartfelt light. To every soul whose hand did give, you've helped me dream, helped me live. In darkest hours your light came through, with hearts so kind, so pure, so true. Your gifts, like stars in deepest night, have steered me gently toward the light. Each coin, each word, each silent prayer, a thread of hope so rich, so rare. My eyes once dimmed now seek the skies, and slowly clearer visions rise. Because of you, I dare to see the world again, its grace, its plea. Your compassion's flame will not just stay with me alone. It lights the way for others wandering through despair to feel the warmth of selfless care. You've shown what love in action means, in quiet ways through giving scenes. You've built a bridge from soul to soul and made the broken feel more whole. So let this thanks rise like a song, a melody both soft and strong. May your example gently call more hearts to rise to give. To fall into the joy of lifting pain, of planting hope where none remains. Your kindness walks beside me still, a light, a love, a living will.
don't forget to hit that subscribe button to show your support.